The Joy Behar Show airs every night at 9 Eastern and Pacific on HLN.
Her brand of comedy is brash, outspoken, and takes no prisoners. In fact, I'm wearing body armor right now, so please help me welcome to my table, Kathy Griffin.
I loved that intro, and here's why. Because I love that you pointed out that I talk about people behind their backs.
Yes.
And here's why. I think it's interesting when people want me to confront these celebrities, and the truth is, I was raised right. I talk about people behind their backs, and I wait till you leave the room.
Yes.
So when people say that on reality shows, if you have something to say it to my face.
No.
I always think I'd rather wait till you leave the room.
Yes.
Because I can be funnier and it's more freeing for
I
me.
understand that, except that, you know, sometimes you get into trouble.
Yeah, always.
Okay? You've said things that I have down here, you know, suck it, Jesus, for example. You said that at
when
the
I won
Emmys.
my first Emmy, my first of two.
Why were you interested in just offending every Christian in the world?
Well, I like to offend religious groups probably more than individuals. I mean, I like to offend individuals, don't get me wrong. But I find that deities and religious groups are the most fun because they have the worst sense of humor. And so when I told Jesus to suck it, which was me doing a spoof of when all these, usually at the Grammys, all these musical artists go up there and they thank God. Miley just did it after dancing on the pole. You know what I mean?
I know.
Okay.
It's not pretty, but
it's silly. And so I said, Jesus had nothing to do with this award. Suck it, Jesus. This award is my God now. And then an angry Christian group took out a huge ad against me in USA Today and spent more money than Bravo ever would advertising my life on the D list. And so it was great publicity for me.
Do you get death threats? Do you get like?
Yes, I've had death threats.
And how do you handle that? Because that's a little scary.
Yeah. Well, I kind of just laugh at all of it.
You do.
Maybe now that's probably why I'm not a security expert. Like I wouldn't be a good Homeland Security person because I would just say, "Oh, just laugh at those jihadists. They're a riot."
Yeah, I have two names for you. One name for you, Salman Rushdie. Remember he had a fatwa?
He was on my life on the D list. I got tips from him. He was one of my guests.
On how to avoid jihadists?
How to deal with a fatwa.
Oh.
Because I have kind of a Hollywood fatwa in my head at all times.
Yes, you can have
mostly
every move,
perpetrated by Barbara Walters.
Let's leave her out of this conversation.
Do we have to?
No, because yes, you could, because there's other people. Regis, for example. You haven't been invited back?
You're the one that called that. It's in my book. Did you know you're in my book?
I heard about that. I skipped that section.
You have to look. My book has an index where you can actually look yourself up and you can see what page you're on, thereby having to not read the whole book at all.
Okay, so what did I do for you?
Okay, what happened was I was on The View one time in the makeup room and you said to me, out of the blue, you said, "Have you been on Regis lately?" And I said, "No." And you said, "You mean because you said on Regis Live that Gelman was Regis's?" And I said, oh yeah. And then I said, wait a minute, I haven't been on the show. And then you were laughing. You said, I'll bet that's why.
Oh.
And in fact, I have not been on Regis and Kelly Lee. Let's go with Regis and Kelly Lee, because that's how long it's been since I've been on the show. That I believe I have a fatwa from Gelman.
You might have a fatwa from Gelman.
And I didn't know Gelman could put a fatwa on someone's head.
Sure, he doesn't want to be known as Regis's.
That's funny.
It is funny, but, you know, as you said, maybe some people don't have the sense of humor that you have.
Right.
So you have to watch that.
You don't think that Regis beats Gelman, ever?
He beats him verbally.
Yeah, verbally.
He abuses him verbally. Oh, Regis is the boss, let's face it.
Yeah.
And then when you do get into trouble like that, you will not apologize. Am I right?
No, I don't apologize for jokes. I apologize for if I stepped on your toe or if I...
You mean literally or figuratively?
No, literally. Like if I've apologized for many, many things, but I don't apologize for jokes. So like saying "suck it, Jesus" at the Creative Arts Emmys is so clearly a joke, or starting a rumor that Dakota Fanning is going to rehab when she's 9 years old is very clearly a joke.
That's funny.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. They went after you for that? That's ridiculous.
But also, if I would have said it about Lindsay Lohan, then I could understand if people weren't sure if I was kidding.
Yeah.
But to say it about 9-year-old Dakota Fanning is like very obviously a joke. So.
Now, what about the fact that Letterman, he apologized to Sarah Palin for the Bristol joke? Do you think he should have or not? Because that was a joke.
That was interesting because in my book, I talk about being banned from Letterman. And then as I was writing the book, my 12-year ban was lifted.
Why?
And I got to go back
Why were you banned from Letterman?
I think because I swore too much. I don't know for sure. You know, the way bannings work with these shows is they never want to come out and say you're banned. They usually just like want to just keep not booking you year after year.
Of course, they don't want to admit
after winning Emmys and after going to Iraq and after doing this and that. Just sort of, you know, they can't find a spot for me, but they can have, you know, Spencer from Heidi and Spencer. They can find a spot for him. But so then on Letterman, I was a fallout because when you're on the D list, that's what you do, which means the show has booked a real star. They get a head cold. Paula Abdul, head cold, and then they call me, and I just rush over there in a couple of hours and fill in. So that's how I got to go back on Letterman, is of course I was a fallout.
Now, what does this mean, head cold, when you do it like that?
It seems to me...
What do you really want to say?
I would say that Paula Abdul appears to be under the influence of really... enjoying life.
She says that she has pain medication or something, I believe.
I believe
something
her.
simple like that.
If she's saying she has pain medication, I'm agreeing with her.
But you know, I loved her on American Idol.
I love her. First of all,
I thought she was good on it.
I think it's a big mistake to not hire her back.
Yeah.
And considering what they pay those boys, and in the book I actually talk a lot about sexism in Hollywood, and you obviously know that game.
Yes.
I mean, I'm sorry, but I think it's appalling that Seacrest makes $45 million, and I think Paula made $3 million, and obviously $3 million is an amazing living, but so she gets a 10th of what the guys get, a 12th of what the guys get.
Well, I think that he was getting $45 million for various jobs. It wasn't just the one thing, but still,
she's a big reason people watch that show, and she definitely was one of the big reasons I watched it.
Me too, because you needed somebody
you never know
nice
what she's going to do,
and there's somebody who would maybe come on to
and
the
she
kids.
might not be able to hold her head up.
So now, you're talking about sexism in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Why in Hollywood? It's all over the place.
Well, in stand-up comedy, I can't believe how bad it still is. Meaning, when I was a kid and Joan Rivers took over The Tonight Show, I really thought, okay, this is it.
Me too.
Here we go. It's going to be 50-50. And that there isn't a female in network late night to this day. In fact, that there was one Joan Rivers and then never again is mind-blowing to me.
Well, you know, after she took had her own show, and she didn't tell Johnny Carson that she was getting her own show, the patriarch was upset.
Right.
She was banned from those shows also. She was only recently invited back, I think, on Letterman maybe once or twice over the last, 20 years?
Yes.
Yeah, so she was banned also.
Yeah.
Is that a female thing that they ban women?
It's a female thing, yes.
Only women?
Look, as far as having those shows, I believe it's a woman thing.
But the banning.
Even the clubs, the banning... I don't know about the banning part, but I mean, I think a lot of these guys in late night don't necessarily know what to do with a woman. If you're not like the hot chick, I'm not sure if they know quite what to do with you. If you're not the starlet coming on in your short dress saying, our TV show's like a family. One time we played this joke where we switched cola for coffee. You know, it's awful.
Oh, they love that.
They love that
But
stuff.
with a woman comedian, I guess it's too much power that we have. You know, we have the mic, we're funny. It's not easy to deal with.
Well, there's that whole thing, too.
Yeah.
If you have people that genuinely think chicks aren't funny. And so when I do my shows, you know, like you, I perform for a lot of gay guys, a lot of women, and I can't tell you how many guys come up to me and say, well, you know, my wife kind of dragged me here and I didn't want to come, but you're really funny.
Do you think that there's less sexism amongst women? Is there camaraderie amongst the women comedians?
Sometimes yes, sometimes no. I mean, you know what? There's a few of us vying for a few jobs. Let's face it, we're all fighting for a handful of jobs. So sometimes girl-on-girl crime can be the worst. But I think ultimately, I mean, luckily, I've been lucky enough to have a lot of girls help me along the way. I mean, when I started out, the first week I even did stand-up, which was in a coffee house. Jeannie Garofalo was there and Margaret Cho was there.
Well, they're feminists, the two of them.
They're what?
They're both feminists.
They're feminists.
So they're going to be good for you.
Exactly. They were very helpful. But I love all the gals. I love Chelsea Handler, and I love Sandra Bernhard, and I love Joan Rivers.
What about Ellen DeGeneres?
I love her.
Well, you're a little nasty in the book against her.
Well, I tell a story about her. That was my experience when I was on her show.
What happened to you?
I just thought she really kind of ruled that set with an iron fist in a way that was a little like it took me back a little bit.
Well, but if she were a man, you wouldn't be saying that. You'd say she was very strong and tough.
Well, I thought she was. What she did was felt like she sort of had me perform like a circus monkey, which normally I'm happy to do. And I jingle actually when I walk away. I do have little cymbals attached to my fingers at times, but no, I am a big admirer of her and all that she has accomplished. Although I think I'm currently banned from her show.
Really?
I think there's a current banning happening.
Oh,
I've been on it like 3 years.
It'll lift again. You know what? You do just fine, and you're not on the D list anymore, so that's getting tired.
We'll see.
You're an A list person now, and to be on the D list, it sounds wrong.
I think you're just saying that because you have to, because I'm sitting across from you.
No, it's true. I mean, I see you everywhere, and you have a huge gay following.
Oh, thank God for that.
Now, what do you think that's about?
Well, it's kind of like you, right? I mean, it seems like I just get along with gay guys. I didn't really have to put any effort into it. We're just all like, I just feel like I'm a gay guy on the inside.
I remember in the early days when I first started, the gay audience was easier to deal with. They were downtown below 14th Street, and they
so it was geography for you.
Yeah, but it was, because when I went uptown, it became more hetero, and it got harder to do, because then you had to deal with, guys.
Yeah. I found that
Straight
the gays
guys.
are like, I call them the unshockable gays, because they're already in a minority that has to struggle, and they already feel like sometimes being on the outside looking in, and that's really what the D-list is.
Yeah.
So I think that's why I do well with gay audiences and love gay audiences. And for me, the kind of stand-up I do, what am I going to say to a gay person that they haven't heard?
Yeah.
There's nothing I can say. I don't get a lot of gasps, unless I mention going to Cher's house.
Then they get excited. But somebody once said to me, Joy, they don't really admire you, they want to be you. What does that mean?
Well, and vice versa. There's a lot of gay guys I would love to be. I think my life would be a lot easier if I was just a hot gay guy.
But who do you think has a bigger fan base, you, Cher, or Larry Craig?
Okay, Larry Craig. He has more of a niche crowd, but they're very passionate.